So it's
Spooky.
spooky season. I can finally talk about one of my favourite video game series, Fatal Frame. Well, it's known as Project Zero here in the UK, but I just recently find myself referring to it as Fatal Frame more now, as it's mostly known online by that name. If you haven't played this series at all, this video may not make any sense to you, but if you're interested in the game, I'll link this blog here in the description. I am assuming since you clicked to watch this video, you already know what this game is about. But just in case you don't or you've forgotten, I'll do a quick, terrible summary. In the game you fight ghosts with a camera and usually end up saving said ghosts, which costs the protagonist their sanity in the process. And it is usually incredibly sad, as well as absolutely terrifying. Most sad though, I've played the series so much I'm not even afraid anymore. Apart from this, I'm still afraid of this. It's been 6 years since the last Fatal Frame game. Did Fatal Frame 5 kill the series maybe? I don't know. Perhaps they'll announce something tomorrow which will make me look like an idiot, I guess. The reception for this game was quite mixed. Personally, I really enjoyed it, and still do somewhat. I might like it for superficial reasons though. It just looks so pretty. But taking off the rose-tinted glasses, this game does have its issues, which may have led to its downfall. Let me just add, I don't think Fatal Frame 5 is a bad game. It's definitely more to do with the marketing and accessibility. There wasn't even a physical copy released in North America, and the digital game was 16GB on a 32GB console. It wasn't originally even going to be released in North America. Putting that aside, I would like to talk about the other stuff that's holding the series back. This is all, of course, my own opinion. You may disagree with me. Let's start by talking about the game mechanics. The core gameplay of Fatal Frame is exercising ghosts with a camera obscura. The Wii U gamepad seems like a match made in heaven with the Fatal Frame series. Nonetheless, the controls were heavily criticised as you move the gamepad to control the camera obscura. Some found it difficult to get used to. Gyro controls don't work for some people. I've never had this issue personally, but you can turn off the gyro controls and switch to the analog stick. I played with both gyro controls on and with it off too, but like I said before, didn't find an issue with it. I found it quite fun actually. I do understand looking at the gamepad every time you get into ghost battle is annoying, but you can put the entire interface on the TV if you don't like looking at the gamepad. Controlling the characters themselves, however, is slightly clunky, I'd say. I mean, at least you can run in this game, but getting the characters to move in the direction you want can be a bit of an annoyance, especially since you're generally trying to avoid running into a ghost. This mechanic is quite disliked by many too. The ghost hands. First introduced in Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. I never liked the ghost hand mechanic. It was a fun scare the first time, but then it just got annoying. At least items don't disappear now like they did in Fatal Frame 4. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if they removed it completely, or they could just improve this function in future games. On the topic of hands, this game holds the player's hand a lot. If you press ZR, a spirit will show up to show you where to go. Granted, you can just not use the spirit to show you where to go. The older games don't do this. I'm guessing they toned it down because they thought modern players would get frustrated about what they were supposed to be doing. You generally have to look at the map a lot. Well, I did, but in 5, I barely did. It's a shame this happened because it makes everything feel so slow, mixed with the wait time. When picking up items, it just becomes a little tedious. I know the games before were never fast paced, but it didn't feel as slow as this game does. There's a lot of backtracking in these games, so it's important for it to not feel so slow, as you'll probably make most people bored. Okay, I think I might be alone in thinking this, because I've never seen anyone else complain about this. It might be a bit strange, but something that bothers me a little. The lip sync is off, which I know is a nitpick, but it's a bit strange not seeing the voice acting match up with the character model. I know it's because I play the dub. The sync is fine in Japanese, I think. I don't know the language, but it looks like it does sync up. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, I'm pretty sure it is, but I actually really like the English dub for this game. Everyone sounds pretty good. It's so much better than the remake. God, I never noticed how bad the voice acting was in that game until recently, especially comparing it to the original game. I guess it's not completely bad, it does have some good moments, but it mostly sounds so natural.
I'll be back before you know it.
So, my elder sister means to abandon me once more.
Wait just a minute, okay?
Dear sister, are you leaving yet?
Usually I'm not too bothered by this. I mean, it doesn't bother me in any other games. But for some reason it really throws me off in this game. A character could be speaking really passionately, only to look incredibly bored by what they are saying. Maybe it's just the vibe they were going for. Mission mode is also missing. I was surprised it wasn't in this game. I mean, I guess they did get rid of it in the Crimson Butterfly remake and replaced it with Haunted House mode, which was okay. Not as great as mission mode, but at least it was something. I'm just confused as to why Fatal Frame 5 didn't have it. Even though I suck at mission mode, it's a fun little thing to do in the game. I suppose Anaya's bonus chapter replaces mission mode, which I still find wild that she's in the game. Of course there will be other things I missed out. I don't want this video to be too long, so I went with explaining the biggest complaints I've heard about this game, mixed with some of my own silly issues. The plot formula is similar in all the games. Basically, a maiden is sacrificed to help appease hell, but it didn't work and everyone died. Of course, that's a very simplified version of Fatal Frame, and I do like all the stories in each game, but I know a lot of fans would like a change in the formula, which I'm not opposed to either. It could be interesting to see something new. It can be boring seeing the same story, but I can't help but think, would it still be Fatal Frame without the formula? I feel like a lot of people did not like Fatal Frame 5's story. Fatal Frame 5 is incredibly similar to 3, with just to name a few, water, grief, depression and survivor's guilt being a running theme in both games. I never realised how similar Yuri's good ending and both Miu's endings are to Fatal Frame 3's bittersweet ending. I know a lot of people just think Fatal Frame 5 is the inferior version of 3, or sometimes it's vice versa. In my personal opinion, I disagree that Fatal Frame 5 is a copy of 3. I think the developers were just taking aspects they liked from the older games, or maybe what they thought fans would like to see, and putting them into Fatal Frame 5. The director of the game, Makoto Shibata, stated that the water was used because it made sense that ghosts would appear in a place that had high humidity. Also, according to producer Toru Oshawa, it was used to show off the Wii U's graphical capabilities. Although I did like the majority of the plot, there is something that completely ruins it. If you play the game, you know exactly what I'm going to say. The incest subplot. God, why did they do this to Miku? I remember playing and just thinking, no, I'm just interpreting the scene wrong. But no, Miku really married her brother and they had an incest ghost baby. I've seen people say Mayu and Mio's relationship is slightly incestuous. I used to just ignore comments like this because I never saw it that way. I don't even think I knew what incest meant at the time. I wish I could go back to a time I didn't know. But after looking at Miku's situation, I was looking at them differently too. I don't think it is. Well, at least that's what I will continue to believe. Oh, I just remembered, PZ4 also had some incest too. Whoever's adding this, please stop. I don't want to see even a hint of it in the possible future games. But why? I literally don't give one about Mafuyu but Miku. Why did you massacre my poor girl? Also, I hate that Miku never got closure, that she wasn't able to move on. It just really undermines everything that happened in Fatal Frame 3. A game about dealing with grief and how to overcome it. They could have used Rei for the ghost baby plot, but then again I probably wouldn't have liked that either honestly, because she also learned how to deal with her grief. Why though? Was Miku your first and only choice? Not gonna lie, every time someone mentions that Miku ghost baby plot, I get whiplash. I suppress the memory and try to forget it happened. I've actually seen many people say it's not canon, that it simply wouldn't be possible to happen within the timeline of the games. But I don't know, Miu does play a small role in both Yuri's and Ren's stories. Would the entirety of Fatal Frame 5 be non-canon? With Yuri being in Smash, it would be weird if they completely erased 5 from the series. Localization has played a massive part in why this game is not as popular as it should be. The games in general don't sell well, because it can be extremely difficult to get a hold of. I adore this series, it means a lot to me. I'm sure I'm not alone in saying that. The fanbase is very much live, and I see a lot of love for this game to this day. So it is a shame Nintendo don't see its true potential. There isn't anything else quite like it. Simply putting a port of Maiden of Blackwater on Switch if they aren't sure if this series has potential is a good way to test the waters. But the thing is, people are asking for it. Since not everyone has or had access to Wii U, a lot of fans missed out. It's also a great way to introduce new players into the series, and maybe people who already played it just want a version on Switch to play. No one can use that excuse that Nintendo is a family-friendly console, because this isn't true. There are tons of Nintendo exclusive games I don't deem family friendly. Plus they have various types of games available on Switch aimed at a more mature audience. It's not like they don't have an adult audience, they do. Especially considering the success of the Switch, it would be a missed opportunity to not bring Fatal Frame to it. The producer of the last game even expressed interest in making an entirely new game. I don't know if this series is dead, they could possibly bring it back. Fatal Frame 5 was honestly a surprise to me, along with the movie they released and the manga, which side note I actually like. About making a Hollywood movie, but I'd rather they don't do that. Plus I think it was scrapped. but I'm not completely sure about that. So they could definitely do the same thing, but at the same time I wouldn't be surprised if the thing is ever done with the series. To be fair though, Koei Tecmo has been busy working on the new Hyrule Warriors, do own half the rights to the series alongside Nintendo, so it won't completely rule out the chances of them returning to this series. Got to end on a hopeful note. Anyway, thank you for listening to me ramble, subscribe if you want and let me know what you think.